Hi, and welcome to my insanely long Five Nights at Freddy's 2 review. Um, so, this is the nice audio that you have look forward to after the very long, shitty audio. So, prepare yourself, and apologies in advance. Hello, today is Thursday. It's Thursday. Wow. Thursday, December 11th. And I just went and saw Five Nights at Freddy's 2. This is gonna be a two-parter, because as it's two-parter as in I'm not uploading two reviews. I'm gonna record my thoughts now, and then I'm gonna go see it again with my dad like next week. So then I'll record more thoughts then. It's kind of a tradition, that like my dad and I went and saw the first Five Nights at Freddy's movie together. He knows nothing about Five Nights at Freddy's, like the video games or anything like that. The only thing he knows about it is from me never shutting the fuck up about Five Nights at Freddy's. Um, so I dragged his ass to see the first one because he heard that Matthew Lillard is in it and he loves Matthew Lillard. And I was like, so we're gonna go and see Five Nights at Freddy's together. And I told him, I was like, well, now we have to see all of them together now because The Conjuring's over, so we don't have a tradition of seeing a movie franchise in the theaters together anymore. So that's what's happening here. I'm gonna drag my dad's ass to go and see Five Nights at Freddy's movies with me. Even though he's never played the games, he knows nothing about Five Nights at Freddy's. I think the only time he's like seen anything about it is when I have like Markiplier on in the background while I'm like baking or something like that. So yeah, so this will be a two-part. So like I'll probably record like who knows how long, probably like 20 minutes of review now, and then if I have anything else to say after seeing it again, I'll add in like another like little bit of a review then. So like this video won't probably come out until like the end of next week. But like I was like I want to do it just because I love these games so much. If you can't tell, I had a lot of fun watching them. I haven't even talked about it yet, but I was like smiling from ear to ear. I love Five Nights at Freddy's. That's how I got into like watching Let's Plays. Like I'm a Markiplier and Jacksepticeye fan, and that's how I like got into watching their videos is through Five Nights at Freddy's. Essentially, when the games first came out, like that's when I got into it, and so like when I was in middle school, and I've been into it ever since. Like I'll be honest, I've never really played the games. I played the demo, I think, of the first two, but I never bought the games because I couldn't afford them when I was in middle school because I didn't have any money. And then as an adult, I'm just like, I honestly don't think I would have fun playing Five Nights at Freddy's, but I love watching other people play. I think it's really fun to watch other people play the games. I think the only Five Nights at Freddy's games I might ever consider playing is like Sister Location, because that's probably my favorite game, and Security Breach, because that one just like looks really fun because it's like open world and I love open world games. But other than that, like I haven't played the games, but I've read pretty much all of the books except for Felix the Shark, and that's just because last time I checked it was like impossible to find. But I've read all of the books. I've read all the books, I've seen all the Let's Plays for all the games, I've watched many lore videos. This is one of my key hyperfixations is Five Nights at Freddy's, and I never shut up about it to anyone who will ever listen. I like gave a drunken lore rampage about it one time in college to my friends, and they're like, okay, Rochelle, I'm like, listen, we gotta let me yap about the Five Nights at Freddy's lore for like 2 hours and then we're good. But getting into the actual movie, I had so much fun watching this movie. I don't come into these movies because expecting them to be good. Like the first one wasn't good. It was fun. It's stupid. These movies are stupid. And I think that's what I love about them, is I'm like, I don't expect anything good. I don't expect phenomenal acting. Like all these people are pretty good actors, but like I don't expect like Oscar-winning performances. I don't expect phenomenal acting. I don't expect like any bit of a concise making sense storyline whatsoever. I'm here for the fan service, which is them shoving animatronics in my face in the most fun and outlandish way possible. And that's truly what I got. I was like, I'm here. I'm having a blast. There are some bits where I was like, this is weird, but okay. I think there's like one point where I'm like, I'm no. But other than that, I'm like, it's fine. Whatever. Uh like I thought they were so good. I mean, the first thing to talk about are the animatronics themselves. They look amazing. Like every single one of them. The toy animatronics look so cool. The withered animatronics look amazing. Like I absolutely love those. The marionette looks awesome. Although I think the marionette's mostly CGI in most of the scenes. But I think there are definitely some parts where the mask is practical and like the marionette looks super duper cool. The marionette's one of my favorite animatronics. Like I think just like Charlie's story in general, if you know anything about the lore, is really interesting. And they like kind of go into it a little bit here, but obviously they changed it for the sake of like the movies and their own separate kind of plot. But I really really liked it. There's baby shows up for a scene, and I about lost my shit in this theater. I was like, oh, it's baby. But I love seeing baby. Like she looks so cool. It just reminds me of, because it's a scene where like Vanessa's sort of going into her own dreamscape, kind of like what Mike did in the first movie, because she's sort of like confronting her dad and trying to see if that helps or anything like that, and she, like as a kid hides behind like a coat rack, and she like turns and there's baby like looming above her, and it very much reminded me of like Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted, where you're like in the closet essentially playing peekaboo with baby, because it truly gives you a reference on how fucking massive that animatronic is. And like I could see it with this one, and I was like, oh my god, she looks so cool. I love baby. She looks amazing. That's a weird phrase to say, but like she looks so awesome. And they all did, and then they brought back at the end of the movie, brought back the animatronics from the previous movie, which made me happy, because the first one that shows up is Foxy, who's my number one. He's my pride and joy. And he does his little dum-dums, and then he like yanks, who was it that I think he yanks Bonnie out a window, or like toy Bonnie out a window, and it brought me so much joy. I was like, yay. But that just made me so happy. Or there's a little bit with Balloon Boy which just makes me chuckle every single time, where like Mike beats the shit out of like literally flings Balloon Boy's head off of his body, which was hilarious. But there's like a bit where Balloon Boy's head like pokes above the monitor that Mike's looking at, and it looks so good, and I loved it. And it made me so happy. Or like the little tiny marionette dolls that are like in the boat ride, and I was just like squeeing inside. I couldn't squee outside because I was in theater, but I was squeeing inside. I was so happy. I think the one animatronic that I'm like so sad I didn't get any of was the Cupcake. There's one shot of the Cupcake, and it's on Toy Chica, but I was really hoping that because they have a Chica off at the end of the movie, where like FNAF 1 Chica is like staring down Toy Chica, and I was really hoping that like FNAF 1 Chica would just let the Cupcake like beat the shit out of Toy Chica, and then that just like didn't happen. Like we didn't get any Cupcake at all, and I was like, where's my Cupcake? I want my Cupcake. Give me the Cupcake, please. I'm begging you. I want the Cupcake. Because that Cupcake was probably my favorite part out of the first movie. It's just a rabid dog. If you know anything about the lore, it's a dog. So that made me sad. I was like, no Cupcake. I'm so sad now. But other than that, like this movie was great. It opened up hilarious. Mike's going on a date with Vanessa. They're both in denial about it being a date. Mike's kind of a dick to Vanessa throughout the whole movie, which like the only time I feel like she kind of deserves it is towards like the middle when he finds out about, they call her Charlotte, but I'm just gonna keep calling her Charlie. Well, when they find out about Charlotte and Charlotte dying and stuff like that, and how Vanessa was friends with Charlie and stuff like that, and but he's kind of a dick. He essentially throughout the whole movie is like, Vanessa, you need to move on so that I can move on, and I'm like, shut the fuck up, Mike. But yeah, so there was that, and like the only time, and then which is like after he finds out about Charlie is when he essentially tells Vanessa that, and I was like, okay, that's a dick move. But towards the end, when like they're all leaving and he essentially tells Vanessa to stay away from him and Abby, I was like, yeah, finding out about that family twist that I was not a fan of is, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, but I love the opening scene, with like Charlie dying, and like the shot of like the puppet coming out holding Charlie was so cool and stuff like that, and I love that it's Rage Charlie. That was great. I love Rage Charlie. Rage Charlie is great. I thought the possession bit with the marionette was a little, it was strange at first, and then I kind of got into it. But I liked that. I liked that it was like Charlie blaming all the parents that kept ignoring her, and then like that's what's happening in this movie is like she's sending out all these animatronic to like essentially murder parents. Which like one of them does. Well, I don't even think he's a parent, but like Abby's robotics teacher is at one point, I think one of the kids calls him a dick, and I'm like, yeah, he's such an asshole to Abby. Where he like purposely breaks her like project because he wants them to like get first in the science fair. He's like, we have a title to uphold, and he thinks that she's gonna like take everyone down with it. I'm like, shut the fuck up, dude, shut up. But yeah, like watching him die, it was great. All the deaths were so satisfying. Where like it's Toy Chica going, I want to know what's inside your head, and then she squeezes his skull shut. Or like there's a scene where I don't remember any. I have the IMDb up, but that's gonna, I feel like, take forever for me to try and distinguish the names of the what I'm calling the ghost hunting crew. But one of them gets killed by the marionette. Or no, one of them gets killed by Mangle. And it's all off screen because it's PG-13, so a lot of the gore is like off screen, like you can hear it, but like it's like blurred out or something like that. But essentially, the Mangle tears this poor kid apart, and you can like see the bodies like dropping in the blurred background, and I was like, this poor dude just got thoroughly wrecked. I was like, holy shit. But there's that, or like in that same like sequence in the old Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, like the original one, there's a boat ride, which made me happy because I think that was a reference to like Security Bridge's boat ride. I have no idea. But I was like, ooh, boat ride. There's like these creepy ass little marionettes everywhere, and they all move and essentially like tear this other dude apart in the water, and the water turns bloody, and I was like, this is great, and I love it. I'm so here for it. But yeah, like all the deaths were super duper cool, and they were so great. Or like I squeaked with joy with the whole music box thing, like that entire sequence of, I think, hold pause. Lisa, yeah. So Lisa, played by McKenna Grace, who I honestly thought we would see. Well, you kind of see McKenna Grace, but I thought you would see more of her and not her possessed by the marionette. But I don't know. That surprised me a little bit. But when Lisa like hears the music box for the first time, but it's just through, it looks like a Tascam. I'm sure that's not what she's using, but it looks like a Tascam. But like she can hear it through the Tascam first, and then like, but can't hear it outside of it, and then she follows that, and I thought that was really, really cool. And then she turns it off like a dumbass. Like, I was so much watching that scene, she turns it off, and I was like, don't do that. Don't do that. And then she dies. Well, she gets possessed. But yeah, I was like, don't do that. don't do that. It's like later on when Mike like takes out the like music box that Henry gives to him, and it's the same song, and it like manages to make sure that the like Charlie's no longer possessing Abby. But then he closes it, and the whole time I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I was like, you gotta turn it back on. You can't turn the music off. And then they just kind of left it, and I was like, I don't think everything's fine. And then like the movie quote unquote ends like before any of the end credits scene. It ends with Vanessa getting possessed by the marionette. So I was like, well, yeah, no shit, because y'all turned the fucking music box off. But it was just like the little quips with there, or it was, I feel like I was hallucinating, but I heard somebody else in the theater. There were like 3 other people in this theater, but I heard somebody else react to it too, so I feel like I wasn't hallucinating. But there's one part which I'll explain the scene because it made me squee too. But like Mike like shines his flashlight around the security room. That's like the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 security room, and I swear to God, I saw Shadow Bonnie, and I about lost my shit. I could have been hallucinating, but like I said, it seemed like somebody else also reacted to that, so I'm like, maybe I'm not losing my mind. But I was just like, oh, it's Shadow Bonnie. Which I was like, yes, please let it be Shadow Bonnie. But yeah, I mean, it was so fun. But I guess I'll get into my favorite part, which is Mike playing Five Nights at Freddy's 2, where he's like trying to shut down he's trying to disconnect the animatronics from the wireless connection between the animatronics and the marionette at the same time as trying to track down where the animatronics are. And so imagine if you've played Five Nights at Freddy's 2, he's at the desk, there's the vents, there's the big ass wall that has no doors because Mike asks Vanessa, he's like, how do I close the doors? And she's like, there are no doors. And he's like, what kind of room doesn't have any doors? And we're like, so it's all of our reactions when we all play Five Nights at Freddy's 2. We're like, where the fuck did all the doors go? But yeah, so there's the vents, and then the big entrance out into the room. There's like I don't know what it is. There's like a mask at the very end of that hallway that scared the shit out of me. I wouldn't say it scared the shit out of me, but every time I thought it was an animatronic, and I'm like, oh wait, no, it's just like this random ass mask that's like being hung up on the wall. So I was like, it's not an animatronic, but like, yeah. So as Mike is tracking down all the toy animatronics, so the Mangle's currently trying to murder Vanessa, and then Abby's with Toy Chica, and then Freddy's at like the Faz Fest, and Bonnie's just in this random house, which I didn't understand. I feel like the house that Freddy attacks, I think those were actually parents that were ignoring Charlie, so I don't understand the attack that Bonnie did, but I don't know. But yeah, there's that, and so he's like trying to do all this. He can hear the animatronics scurrying around. Like at one point he looks up and Freddy's right there, and like earlier he notices the Freddy mask, but he's like, that's not gonna do anything. But like when Freddy's right in front of him, he puts the mask on and it works. And the only time it doesn't work is when Foxy tries and kills him. Which I was like, at that point I was like, you gotta flash your flashlight, but instead he like manages to shut off the wireless connection, I believe. So he saves himself that way. But my brain was like, you gotta flash him. You gotta flash him. You gotta flash him. But yeah, I loved it. I loved it so much. That entire time I was like, Mike's playing Five Nights at Freddy's. What? But yeah, that was just, oh my god, it was so awesome and so cool, and I just, oh man, my brain's all over the place. But yeah, I loved that bit. The only part that I didn't like is Freddy Carter. So I've only ever seen Freddy Carter in Shadow and Bone, and I love him as Casbreaker in Shadow Bone, and he shows up in this as like this creepy cop, or this creepy security guard at like the original Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, so Five Nights at Freddy's 2 Pizzeria. I'm gonna explain it. and he introduces himself as Michael. So like obviously, if you're watching it as I did, I was like, say he's pretending to be Mike, but he's changing his name to Michael. No, but he goes around. He gave me, I don't remember his name in that book series. There's the Silver Eyes trilogy, and I don't remember what William Afton's fake name was in that, but he like portrays himself as the creepy, because that one's not a part of the quote unquote like games lore. The Silver Eyes trilogy isn't, and so he like portrays himself as this like creepy security guard that like helps these teenagers, including Charlie. That's the reason why it's not a part of the quote unquote Five Nights at Freddy's game lore. Like sneak into Freddy's, and he like goes by a different name, but he's like just the super creepy security guard that like helps them essentially break in and wander around and stuff like that. And like Freddy Carter's Michael sort of gave me that vibes, and I was like, okay, that's weird. Like obviously that's not William Afton, because we know that Matthew Lillard is William Afton, so who the fuck is this guy? And then it's revealed in the house that he's Michael Afton. So Mike Schmidt and Michael Afton are two different people in these games. Depending on which lore you want to go with, they might be the same person. In the games, but in the movies, they're two different people. So Michael Afton is Vanessa's brother, and that's essentially where like Mike tells Vanessa to stay away from him, because he's like, you had a brother and you didn't tell us. But instead of Michael Afton wanting to get rid of William Afton, he's trying to help William's cause by essentially trying to create, I don't understand what he was trying to go for. I think just with like the toy animatronics just murdering a bunch of people, but he was trying to like kill a bunch of people during Faz Fest, which I was like, this is, it felt strange. I didn't understand his motivations. He's like, I want to continue Dad's work, and I'm like, first off, like it was a weird thing to implement. Like that's where I was like, okay, hold up, what? Because all the pictures are just of Vanessa and her parents. It's never, or like mostly Vanessa and William Afton. There's like one picture in the dream sequence of what looks like to be her mom, but maybe that was like a picture of Michael, but it didn't look like a guy, it looked like a woman. And it's like, what? What? I was like, they got to that point, and he's like, I'm Michael Afton. I was like, shut the fuck up. Hold up. I'm not someone who's like the Lord, because I don't think any of this involves the game lore, but I'm like, but what? I was like, okay, we've established, like, I don't know, I feel like this was an afterthought. They're like, we want to have a sketchy security guard. How do we implement it to the film? We have to have some kind of human villain. Let's say that Michael Afton is here and he's a villain now, and he just wants to kill a bunch of people at Faz Fest, and it just didn't work for me. I was like, I don't know what the fuck is happening anymore. But I was like, whatever, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to have Five Nights at Freddy's movies that are fun. So like, I'm not gonna complain too much. I was just like, I'm so confused. But yeah, that was very interesting. On the other hand, I loved Ski Ulrich as Henry Emily. I was really hoping that there was going to be a scene between Ski Ulrich and Matthew Lillard. Unfortunately, there wasn't. I'm hoping that in like maybe the third or fourth movie there is. But it sounds like through the end, one of the last end credit scene, though, that's not the case, because it kind of sounds like Henry just got murdered. But okay, that was a guy who was trying very hard for that acting role. Because he was really, I've only seen him in Scream and Riverdale, so like, I don't really know how much he can play an emotional part, but he did a really good job at playing Henry Emily. He like really put his whole soul into that portrayal of just a devastated dad, and I loved it. I was like, he's doing a great job. Half these people are not doing as good of a job at acting. But I was like, I'm here for it. He did phenomenal. I was like, I love this so much. Just like a sad, dejected dad. And I was like, I'm here for it. The outfit was great. I was like, yes, this is what I imagine Henry and Emily looking like. I'm like, I'm here for it. Now get me him and Matthew Lillard in the same room as essentially their murder husbands again, but in a different context. And instead they hate each other. But I just, oh man, I loved his performance in this movie. I thought it was great, and I'm really hoping that he shows up in the other movies, because it was so much fun. And clearly they're teasing for more. I think they will make plenty of, or at least I hope they make plenty of Five Nights at Freddy's movies. I mean, me as a Five Nights at Freddy's fan, I am eating this shit up. But like they obviously teased for the next one. There's a mid-credit scene where 3 guys break into the FNAF 1 location and discover the back doors. The place is going to be demolished, and they're trying to steal a bunch of stuff so that they can open up a haunted Freddy Fazbear's. Oh, it's the plot of Five Nights at Freddy's 3. What do they find? Matthew Lillard. They find the rabbit. They find Springtrap. And so, obviously they're going to take Springtrap and put him in this new haunted attraction, and I'm very curious to where that goes. But that was great. And it's also like that was an interesting thing with it, because it's like the original Five Nights at Freddy's 1 animatronics are essentially MIA throughout this entire movie until the end, where Mike literally goes to the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 location and it's like, hi, Abby's in danger, can all of you try and help her? And they like show up to save the day and just beat the shit out of the other animatronics. But like it's essentially deemed that like the ghosts were essentially hiding where Springtrap was to keep him at bay. They're like Gandalfing Springtrap from escaping this building or being found. Because then one of the ghosts, I don't remember any of the ghosts' names, but I think it's the Golden Freddy ghost, is essentially like he tells Abby that they're moving on, which like good for them, because like that's one of the beginning things is like Mike doesn't know where the animatronics are, and he keeps telling Abby that he's gonna go and fix them, but he's lying. He like just straight up doesn't know where they are. He thinks they're gone, and like one of his things is like maybe they've gone to heaven, and then like one of the ghosts tells her, he's like, yeah, we're moving on, like that's why we're all, partially all the animatronics are losing power, but also, you know, we're moving on now, like I don't know, they seem content, so like good for them. You know, move on to the afterlife, whatever that may be for them. And then the kid like warns Mike, he's like, hey, now that we're gone, we can't hold him back, referring to Springtrap. And Mike's stupid and asks who, and they don't specify who, but obviously we all know who it is. So yeah, I was just like, well, obviously, you know, we're gonna get our Five Nights at Freddy's 3, and we've got the ghosts moving on. So we got the good ending to Five Nights at Freddy's 3. But yeah, so obviously like Vanessa's possessed by the puppet, or by the marionette. And then Springtrap is back. I'm curious if Vanessa's gonna go full Vanny, or if it's just Vanessa being possessed by the marionette. I'm curious where that goes, because that was my thing with the first one, which was they were like, oh yeah, this is Vanessa, and like she's William Afton's daughter, and I was like, so are we gonna get a Vanny situation? Who the fuck knows? But yeah, I'm very curious to where like the next one's gonna go. Goddamn, I've been talking for 30 minutes. But I had so much fun with this movie. I love Five Nights at Freddy's. I squeed and I gleed, and I was so happy throughout this entire viewing situation. I was just like, I'm having too much fun. I'm just so much fun. I was like, especially like when the animatronics show up, and I was like, I wanted to go to Halloween Horror Nights this year so badly, but I couldn't because grad school. And I was like, god damn, the next time they put in a Five Nights at Freddy's haunted house, my ass will be at Orlando so fast for that. Because I might cry. I might genuinely cry. I love Five Nights at Freddy. I don't even know what it is about it. I was just like, I didn't think I would feel so much nostalgia while watching this movie, and I think I think it's just from the genuine fact that it's been over 10 years since those games came out, and like I was a kid when they came out. I was in middle school. I was a depressed middle schooler who spent their time watching Jacksepticeye and Markiplier play Five Nights at Freddy's while procrastinating on schoolwork. And I loved it so. I'm staring at my Five Nights at Freddy's coloring book right now. But I loved it so much. I was like, it's the nostalgia. Like, I don't. Part of me was like, is it because I like grew up going to Chuck E. Cheese? But I was like, I really didn't go to Chuck E. Cheese that much as a kid, and the only thing I remember is like the giant like obstacle course, like jungle gym area, and the only time they really have that in any of the games is in security breach with the daycare attendant. So like, I don't know. I just love these games so much, and they're just so fun. I think part of it is that the lore is just so stupid and so over the place, and like people arguing about it too. And then I only recently got into the books. I don't remember why. I think it was because I was in the middle of reading one of the Dune books, and I was like, I need a break from Dune and its bullshit, so let me read these super easy to read Five Nights at Freddy's books, which are the most depressing fucking things in the world. Those books are so goddamn depressing. I was not expecting that. I was like, these are meant for middle schoolers, and they're so fucking depressing. But they're fun. Like they're just ridiculous. Like the Silver Eyes trilogy, where like I was confused at first because I was like, I thought this was canon, and then I was like, no. Or I think they refer to like in the timeline. I'm like in the lore, but I'm not fully in the lore. But I'm just here for vibes, man. That's what I love about Five Nights at Freddy's is it's the vibes, like all of it. We've got the puppet song, got the dum 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 dum. We've got William Afton humming the Carmen song. There was a really funny scene where they're like in the Five Nights at Freddy's one location, and like Mike picks up a stuffed Freddy and like squeezes it, and it does that like this specific like like that sound, and I started laughing. I was like, that is great. But I loved that they played the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 Living Tombstone. Oh, sorry, I blanked on the name of the band for a second, but the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 Living Tombstone, like, it's been so long. They played that song at the end, which, like, obviously I was like, you have to do it now for every single one of these. If I don't hear Diana Fire at the end of Five Nights at Freddy's 3, I'm gonna throw a riot. But I have a couple more like small complaints, and they're not like bad complaints. It's just that like wishes and stuff like that, which is that Toy Chica is the main animatronic that's like there and interacts with Abby, which I think Megan Fox does a great job at voicing Toy Chica. Like, I haven't really seen Megan Fox in a lot of stuff, but I just like didn't think that it was Megan Fox like a lot for all of these voices. Like, I was kind of skeptical about the voice acting in general for the toy. Well, for Bonnie and Chica, I was not worried about Freddy, obviously, because Kellen Goff like is the voice actor for Freddy in the games. So like I wasn't worried about that. Like when they announced that, I was like, well, obviously, like if you got anybody else, what the fuck? And I wasn't worried about Matt Pat, but I was expecting Tony Bonnie to sound like Matt Pat, and then he didn't, because I heard someone underneath me go, wait, where was Matt Pat? And I was like, he was there. He was just voicing Toy Bonnie in a very good way. Like, I think they changed his voice a little bit, and I think they did the same thing with Toy Chica as well for Megan Fox. But like, yeah. But this side tangent aside, but my thing is that I really wish that I had heard more of Toy Freddy and Toy Bonnie. Like, it was a lot of Toy Chica because she's the one talking and interacting with Abby and interacting for the most part with other people. But like, I think Toy Bonnie and Toy Freddy only have maybe 3 or 4 lines throughout the whole film, and I really wish that they would have had more. I think that would have been really fun. just to hear their voices a little bit more. But I loved this movie so much. It was just so fun. Like I went into this movie being like, it's not gonna be good. I know it's not gonna be good. Like the first one wasn't good. Like that's not why I didn't expect it to be good either. Like that's not why I see these movies. I see these movies because they're fun, because it reminds me of my childhood and like being in middle school, high school, like watching other people play Five Nights at Freddy's. Like that is my comfort. Those are my comfort videos. Like Let's Plays are my comfort videos whenever I'm like sick or tired. Like I had COVID last year and I just laid on the couch and watched Five Nights at Freddy's Let's Plays for like 3 days straight. And it was like, I was like, I'm better now. But it's just like, that's just what I like to do. Like I'll put it on the background while I'm cleaning. I'll put it in the background when I want to sleep. Like I love stuff like that. I love the soundtrack to the games. I think the Newton brothers did it for Five Nights at Freddy's 2. They're the ones who did the first movie, and I think they did a great job again. With the score, like I think it sounds really, really good. It's different, but it's not a bad different. I think it's a fun different. In that way, and I love the Newton brothers and other stuff that they've done. Like they've done The Haunting of Hill House and a lot of other Mike Flanagan projects, and I absolutely love the soundtracks to those shows. And so I was like, I'm having fun. This is great. They sound amazing. Everything looks so cool. Like at one point, I was like, like looking at the animatronics and just seeing the difference, and I was like, I want to hug them. I'm not one of those people. Like, I've gone to Disneyland a couple times. I'm not a hugging of the characters person, but I if I ever met like an animatronic of any of these animatronic, I would hug that animatronic so fast. Especially Foxy. But like I would hug that animatronic so fast. Like I love these animatronics so much. Like I love these movies. They're just so fun, and I had so much fun watching this movie, and it's just, oh, I can't wait to see it again with my dad. I was like texting my friends like on the bus ride home, being like, y'all have to watch this movie. We watched the first one together because it released on Peacock at the same time, so like my dad and I went and saw it in theaters, essentially opening night. And then like 2 days later, my friends and I got together and like in our respective houses, because none of us live near each other, and we were like on a Discord call while watching Five Nights at Freddy's. So like a bunch of us had dinner. I had like a glass of wine with me, and we were just like sipping and talking while watching Five Nights at Freddy's, and it was so fun. Just getting to like experience that with my friends, and I was like so sad that we couldn't do that this year because it's only releasing in theaters. Which, like, yes, please do. I am very much against the whole only releasing movies on streaming and not putting them in theaters. I'm like, I love the theater experience. I forgot how much I loved the theater experience until like fairly recently. But it's just like I love seeing a movie in theaters, but at the same time, but I want to have fun times with my friends while we watch Five Nights at Freddy's, because they are very much into Five Nights at Freddy's thanks to me, because I never shut the fuck up about it in college as I'm giving drunken ramblings about the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's. So they put up with a lot of my bullshit thanks to that. But yeah, I think I'm gonna leave this here.
Alright, hello and welcome to part 2 of the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 review. I've brought the boy for comfort. So I think this part's gonna be a little bit shorter because there are like small things that I noticed this time around, plus like my dad's thoughts as well, which he has a couple on the plot. He didn't like this movie as much as the first one. I think I like this movie more than the first one, but I'm not entirely sure. But a couple things that I noticed about this one first was like little scenes and little bits and stuff like that. One main one that I like noticed is the scene where like Vanessa's setting up all the stuff to like do her little like dream sequence bit, and she's like putting all the like aspects from her childhood down on the shelf, and she has Garrett's airplane, and I was like, it's one, a little fucked up that you still have that, and two, a little fucked up that you haven't given it to Mike. I was like, you have your I don't know, like, they're friends probably. I was like, you have your friend's dead brother's airplane. I was like, you should probably give that back to him. I was like, okay, that's a choice to still have that. I was just like, okay, cool, wonderful. Um, but yeah, that was just something that is another thing that, like, I mean, I feel like it definitely happened in the first film as well, which is just like the animatronics are so stompy loud unless they want to be quiet, and then they're so quiet. Like, there's the scene where Toy Bonnie's in the house that the little girl is in, and like he's being very stompy, but then the minute he wants to like jump scare the mom, he's so quiet, and I just like, I find it so funny um that like they have like those moments and stuff like that. Like all the animatronics have those and stuff like that. um but I guess getting into the plot, my dad did not like it as much as the first one, and he just felt like the plot was like a lot more convoluted, which I kind of get. Like, we were talking on the car ride home, and we very much sort of came to the consensus that like it especially with the ending, that like the film would have maybe worked better if Vanessa was the one that got possessed at the beginning than McKenna Grace's character. And then that way they had to spend the time like trying to fight and or like save Vanessa. Because we did talk about like how the relationship between Mike and Vanessa isn't really well done, which I kind of get. Because like obviously they're like kind of like some like they have a friendship at the beginning. Like clearly Vanessa's like more into Abby's life, because like I mean she'll like show up to their house, like briefly knock, and then like let herself in, so clearly like they've established this like connection that they all have. um but but then like obviously she goes and still, you know, betrays their trust. But at the same time, Mike, as I like stated earlier, like in the first half of this, like Mike is still kind of a dick to Vanessa, and where he's like, I can't fix you, and I was like, bitch, she didn't ask. She literally didn't ask. So I think it's like stuff like that. um but I do say like at the end it's like it I don't feel for their relationship like I feel like the film wants me to do. But like I mean, like I said, like I'm not here for the plot when it comes to a Five Nights at Freddy's movie. And I was telling my dad about that, and he was like, neither am I, but the plot was still like not as good as the first one. Like it was harder to follow, and I was like, I kind of get that. So I was just like, yeah, I think with this watch around I like noticed more like nitpicky like issues with the film than anything else. But I was just like, uh, whatever. I still had a lot of fun. Like it's just such a fun movie, and just like I was admiring the animatronics again. Like the withered animatronics look so cool, and I'm just like, I'm so excited for, because obviously they're gonna make more of these movies, and they've like clearly set up for Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Like I'm so excited for the next one. Like I've been seeing like theories and like opinions on what's happening and what's gonna happen. One that I thought was really interesting was a theory that like, and it was based off of the color of baby's eyes in the like dream sequence scene, which I like tried to pay attention to this time, and I was just too, once again, gobsmacked by how fucking big that animatronic is. But someone has a theory that like Vanessa's adopted, and that like Elizabeth does exist in this world, and that she's actually like already been killed by baby. And I thought that was a really interesting theory. I was like, that's, especially with like bringing in Michael. I am curious to see if they're gonna bring in, or at least talk about Elizabeth, and also the crying child, or well, it's not the crying child because that's the other one that possesses the Golden Freddy, but whoever the third acting kid is that Michael essentially throws into a golden Fredbear animatronic and essentially accidentally kills. I wonder if they're like gonna bring that in to the games, but I'm not entirely sure. I think that would be really cool. Seeing, oh, side tangent, seeing the Nightmare animatronics on the screen, like practical Nightmare animatronics, would be so cool. So cool. I think that would be absolutely awesome. Oh man, that would make me geek out so much. That would be so cool. But I don't know. I just thought like my dad, who's never played the games, would have different opinions than I did, and obviously his were more plot based than nostalgia based, because he's grown up like listened to me like grow up and like nerd about them. I mean, my parents got me this for Christmas when I was 15, 14, 15, something like that. Whenever Five Nights at Freddy's 4 came out, I think is when I got this boy, in all his giant glory. But yeah, it's just such a fun movie, and I think I liked Freddie Carter's performance more this time around. Just from watching it, he just plays such a cool, creepy guy. I think the first time around, I was too distracted by seeing Kaz Brecker that, like, this time around, I was like, it's not Kaz Brecker, it's not William Afton, it's Michael Afton, it's somebody else, and I think I managed to, like, see him in a different way, so I think I liked his performance a bit more, and I didn't hate it as much. Well, I didn't hate it in the first place, I just, like, thought the addition of the character was, I don't know, unnecessary and kind of convoluted, but I'm like, I feel like that's half the fun of Five Nights at Freddy's is like the convoluted plot. Like it comes with the games. Like the plots in the games have giant plot holes and are super convoluted. Like it's nothing new. And so I think like adding that into this is just like the nostalgia for the games and stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely like I liked his performance a lot more because especially like knowing his intentions. Because the first time around, I was like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" And the net like watching this time around, it's like I don't. I mean, I kind of understand why he wants to wake Charlotte up, but I don't quite get it. But like, I think he just wants to go on a murder spree, and he knows that Charlotte's the way to do it, so I think, like, that's where it worked. Oh, yeah, that was the thing that I wanted to know, because I didn't really pay attention to it the first time around, but they have, like, tiny hints towards Mike and Abby's aunt in the movie, where, like, she's the one that, like, she lives. Like, I think that was a big debate, because I also thought that she died in the first movie, but apparently she didn't. But, like, she lives, and she like goes around spouting all the like Freddy Fazbear stuff and like how like she was attacked by animatronics and that like causes a huge like Freddy Fazbear spur, which is like kind of how Fazfest became a thing, and then like Michael Afton took advantage of it. But then they like make a brief statement about how she was institutionalized because of it. So I guess that's like how Mike ended up gaining custody of Abby, is that like his aunt went on a whole killer animatronic spree and ended up getting institutionalized because of it. Like it was just, I think they mention it like 3 times. They mention it a couple times that she brought up the whole like the killer animatronics thing, and then Mike's friend, whose name I'm blanking on, like mentions like, oh, like your aunt got like I heard your aunt got institutionalized or something like that, and Mike is immediately like, I don't want to talk about it, because he very much is like trying to tamp everything down, which I'm like hoping he doesn't do in the next film, just because like he very much is like, I think trying to like suppress everything, and like while I don't like I understand why he is, I think he very much needs to like talk about it, and I think that's where like Henry Emily comes from. But obviously Henry Emily got attacked in the post-credits voiceover, so but I did notice that, which is like he like Skeet Ulrich does the whole like recording thing, which very much is in the same style as the Pizzeria Simulator recording, and I'm like, this, like if he gives the speech in any of these movies, I will be so happy. I'm like, he could do it, and it would sound so good. Like the Pizzeria Simulator speech would sound so good with Skeet Ulrich doing it, and like it would be awesome. But yeah, I loved this movie. I think it was really really fun. Like I think I think the plot's more lacking in this one, but like I don't really care. I'm okay with it. Like I'm fine with it. So, yeah, I think those are all of my thoughts. So thank you for listening and watching this incredibly long video, but as you can see, I really, really like Five Nights at Freddy's. And also apologies for the shitty audio in the first half. I was so mad when I found out about the audio. I was so pissed, but whatever. I've figured out how to fix it. So yeah. But thank you. Bye-bye.